Competitive advantage is the most important thing you can look at for your company. It's what can you leverage? What resources do you have to separate you from your competitors? And those are the things that are important to your customer. Not important to you, but important to your customer, and that your customer can immediately resonate with, and that can attract your customer pretty instantaneously. If you can identify what that is, it's like gold.
Welcome to the Insurance Leaders Lab podcast, designed for insurance professionals and leaders seeking inspiration, bold ideas, and actionable strategies. Our guests are remarkable individuals from various insurance industry sectors, and our host, Nina Shepard, has been an insurance leader for over 3 decades. Together, we explore what it truly means to be a bold and impactful leader and find personal fulfillment in the ever-evolving insurance world. New episodes are released bi-weekly on Thursdays. Be sure to follow the podcast on your platform of choice to receive alerts when new episodes drop. Bold leaders, frank dialogue, actionable strategies. Welcome to the Insurance Leaders Lab. Good morning, everyone. I'm excited to welcome our today's guest, Pranav Dalal, to the Insurance Leaders Lab podcast. Pranav is an entrepreneur and global leader redefining the future of work. As founder and CEO of OfficeBeacon, he has built one of the world's largest workforce providers with more than 5,500 employees across 4 continents. Pranav helps insurance organizations work smarter and run more efficiently. He helps licensed agents stay focused on the tasks that require their expertise, while supporting the rest of the operations with highly trained remote teams. His approach helps companies stay compliant, reduce pressure on internal staff, and handle busy seasons with more stability and less strain. I'm looking forward to diving deeper into Pranav's experience with the insurance market. Good morning, Pranav. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today.
Thank you, Nina. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Let me begin our conversation by expressing a deep respect for your accomplishment in building such a large company. It takes a lot of strategic effort and many hours of dedicated work to build anything from scratch. I'm sure there is a story of your personal growth behind the story of your company growth. Would you like to share it?
I would love to. This is definitely 9 lives for me. It started in Toronto, Canada, where I'm originally from. I live in Los Angeles now. But while in Toronto, I probably had 500 different types of jobs growing up there. And I didn't realize that entrepreneurship was for me because I grew up in where my father was a civil servant. But when I moved to LA, I took some time off and I joined the internet movement and some startups here, which really opened my mind to different ways of doing things. And I realized that the opportunities were massive. Through that, I started a company before OfficeBeacon, which was became one of the largest content providers to e-commerce websites, which I sold.
Wow.
And then, and it was an incredible journey. And so I got the bug. And so I had helped companies grow, started my own company, and then the internet bubble happened in 2000. I saw a lot of companies go out of business very quickly. It was the most unbelievable time. And at that time, my son, he was about to be born, and I really had to make a decision. What was I going to do? And I really felt that I wanted to take that time to start a company. So I decided that I wanted to go down the services route. So that felt more like in my control, like services versus software. And so that's what I did. I was reading about how offshore services were growing because of the internet in India, and I flew to India right away. I went to the city where my family was from, only because that's the city I heard of. I didn't grow up there. And I opened an office. I negotiated with the landlord to say, look, I'll pay you when I get my customer. And they were okay with that. I just negotiated my way. I guess they saw this foreigner come in and say, hey, well, what do we have to lose? Hired 5 employees, and I came back here and just started cold calling. And fortunately, I was pretty good at it. And got clients, initial clients like Smart and Final, which is a large grocery chain out here. I got the state of California doing their payroll, which was a shock to me, but I got it. And so the train was moving. But the hard part was I had to sell, and then I had to implement, and then I had to train, and then I had to monitor the work myself. Like I didn't really have anyone who knew what to do, and nor could I afford to hire a bunch of people. So I really was burning the candle at both ends. So those early days were pretty tough. But when my son was born, he didn't know any better because he was a baby, and I could spend a lot of my time just focused on building this business for the future. And my vision, was really to build a multi-generational family business. I wanted that. And that was even before my kids were born. And today we're at 25 years, and my son, who's 24 now, joined my company earlier this year. He's on our sales team, and my daughter, who's 21, she's part of our social media team. And I have a third daughter who's in high school. And I think I'm 100% sure that when she's ready, she'll be joining the company too. So my dreams, without twisting their arms, are coming true of them really taking part of this legacy. And I'm very proud of the fact that, we're at 25 years now. It's quite an accomplishment, not only mine, but of everybody who's been part of it.
That's a wonderful story. I love the generational component of it.
Thank you.
And the fact that they came in and wanted to do that, themselves, not you dragging them into. That's very important. Mm-hmm. Amazing. Now, in the hindsight, why do you think OfficeBeacon has become so successful?
Well, Nina, I think the success lies on a few factors. One is I realized, and I didn't know this early on, but one of my superpowers is understanding competitive advantage. And competitive advantage is something I actually talk about to business leaders. I do educational, what I call lunch and learns on them a lot. Like last year, I spoke to almost 3,000 business leaders on this. Competitive advantage is the most important thing you can look at for your company. It's what can you leverage? What resources do you have to separate you from your competitors? And those are the things that are important to your customer. Not important to you, but important to your customer, and that your customer can immediately resonate with, and that can attract your customer pretty instantaneously. If you can identify what that is, it's like gold. And it's kind of my superpower. I've been able to identify those things. I'm sort of like that visionary for my company, and I love to focus on that. That's what I like to do. That, I think, has been one of the primary reasons for our success. And then the second part is the execution. Execution is key. How do you set up the systems, a scalable and repeatable system? I don't think of it as a one-off, hey, just do this one time here, one time there. I always think of it almost like an engineering problem. You have to think about, if you're going to do this one time, don't think about it one time. How can you repeat it for the next customer, make it a really repeatable, scalable process? So we can turn up customers all the time, and we can do it in multiple countries. It was hard enough to do this in one country, but now we've done it in 4. And that's a pretty difficult feat to do, especially when you're private, you're doing it on your own. And we've been able to do that.
That's amazing. And it sounds to me that you are still very much involved on a day-to-day basis with everything what OfficeBeacon does, correct?
Yes.
So how would you define your leadership style? You already mentioned your superpower of being able to define competitive advantage. What else comes into play there?
Yeah. Well, the first word that came to mind was being humble. So what that means to me is, you don't have pride about anything. You don't have an ego about your ideas. You're facing facts for what they are. And you're also working with people for who they are. I actually don't care about job titles in my company. People have job titles, but I am very transparent with my employees, and it's an open door policy, and everybody knows that. That enables good communication between everyone, and it enables trust, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's a very important thing in a company, to foster trust, so people feel safe to even give bad news, right? That to me is a really important thing. And so I think the people I work with would say that. The other thing also for me as a leader, I keep my ear close to the customer. And I think that's a very important thing that founders and CEOs and business leaders must do to understand where business is going, where the industry is going, where the economies are going. You've got to really be close to the customer, where they are. I go to events all the time. I'm talking to clients. I'm on calls with clients. I'm understanding how they're thinking about things because that really shapes how I think about it. And when I think about what we want to do next, then I can understand, hey, would this really work for clients? And I feel like I would really know because I'm in touch with them. And that's where some leaders fail because they're in their ivory tower and, they're being told by their VPs, we should do this or we should do that. They don't really know because they don't have their ear to the ground. They don't know.
Yes. Okay. That's very interesting. As you were building the company, Pranav, what were those defining moments? Can you, when you think back into, your 25-year history, when you thought, yes, this is it.
Okay.
That's what I love about it,
Yeah, we're in the multiple industries, including insurance, but we started out in the graphics design industry 25 years ago, only because every other company in India was doing software development and call centers. And I said, we got to do something different. And we grew rapidly in graphics. But then I realized we are not going to be the world's best graphic design company. I want to be the world's best HR company where we could hire talent from any industry, recruit them, train them, have them on our teams, and work for any client from any industry. Like that's really the goal, to be like an Amazon of business services. So the mind shift changed to be that versus only a specialty service provider. Once we started doing that, it opened up everything, including insurance. So that's how we changed. And then it opened up, well, if we can do that, we can go to any country too, because skill sets are different in different countries. So we really looked, very strategically at the countries we're in. So we're in India for a specific reason. We're in the Philippines and, in South Africa and Mexico for very, very specific reasons, and expanding into other locations as well. So I think our mind shift was really predominantly about who we were and what we offered to the world. And that actually expanded greatly because we can offer a service to every company out there.
Wow.
Literally any company out there. Yeah.
That's very interesting. And it's like different languages, if I understand correctly,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
Probably 24 hours
That's
around
right.
the service.
Absolutely.
Wow. That's amazing. Pranav, as you work with different industries, you have a unique opportunity to compare how the leaders of different industries think. And I think that's very valuable. I wonder, what is your experience with insurance leaders?
Well,
what do you see there?
Yeah, I think insurance is a very, obviously a legacy type of industry, very mature. We deal in industries that are extremely rapidly moving. We've seen a lot of consolidation in insurance, a lot of PE coming in. We are starting to see AI come in too. But I think there is a great need for a service like ours for disruption, to help agencies succeed and grow. There's a huge talent shortage, massive one in the industry, right, for support. And we're really working on helping agencies with their bottom line so that they can hire more talent domestically and afford to do that. And so we're addressing that. And I think we're doing it in a very responsible way. And then also bringing other types of skill sets and technologies to the industry well. So I think it's very modern and we're going to help change it in very positive ways.
Is working in insurance industry, is that something relatively new for you? Is that a new industry or have you been in it for a while?
We have been doing this for about 10 years. Yeah, it's been a while.
That's probably as much as the outsourcing existed almost, right?
Yeah. So, we were early adopters, to introduce it. Yeah.
Okay. So is there anything that you've learned about insurance leaders from your interactions with them in those 10 years that stands out for you?
I think the education, and I that's why I really appreciate this platform, Nina. I don't think there's enough education out there about outsourcing. Here's my reasons why I'm saying this. There are different places in the world where you can get your resources from. There are countries like, for example, China, which actually does a lot of insurance outsourcing. But it's very surprising because when you do that to China, like all of the data is being, centralized into their servers, honestly. They're putting it into their LLMs. They're putting it all there. Why would anyone do that, right? So that was a very shocking thing to me. So the education is very important. For me, educating leaders on data security, which we take very, very seriously, to the point where we don't allow, we are very strict about working from an office where we can control the entire environment, like the internet lines, the data security coming in and out, the workstations, people even coming in and out through the biometrics and eye scans and everything.
Okay.
We are really controlling, data security in this environment today where data security is very hard to control. So I think the education for agency leaders is very important to understand who you're working with and why you're working with them. It's not just about saving money. It's about protecting your reputation and your customers' data. Which can include some pretty sensitive things, right? Especially when you're letting your vendor go into your agency system. I mean, that's
which is inevitable,
right? Exactly.
If you want them to help you.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Pranav, our listeners are insurance professionals and leaders driven to grow their businesses, achieve excellence, and become better leaders. And we all have our professional strategies that help us to become who we are. I want to ask you to share your winning formula with us. I'm sure you have one. What is it there for you that makes you so strong as a person?
Well, for me, I mean, this is my winning formula is, first of all, I know what my superpower is, and I've set up my company in a way where it's very structured. So like I'm the visionary in my company, and then I have someone who does the execution. I kind of compare it to like Steve Jobs and Tim Cook. Like Steve Jobs was the person who did the ideation, and Tim Cook was the person who did the execution and operations. And every company needs that. So that's the number one thing is you've got to figure out who is in your company, who does both, either one of those things. So that's the first thing. And then secondly is to grow your company, you need to have a system. So about 7 years ago, I embarked on a system to create a lead generation system for my company that took us from organic growth to exponential growth. I mean, this is a little departure from our topic, but I'm very proud of this. Like we get about 100,000 companies coming to our website every single month because of the efforts we put in to do very, very unique lead generation. So all of our
wow.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like, I think it can be researched easily on Google Analytics. And that's, by the way, without any paid marketing, like no Google paid ads or no Facebook or social media. And so we have done an amazing job. And these are very unique strategies, just out of the box, which I also talk about. Like I call it opposite thinking. Like don't follow the pack and don't follow the crowd of what they're doing because you're really just following others. The other thing, you asked about what the winning formula was. And that's the other thing is really every day trying to come up with something unique, not only a competitive advantage of what you do and what you offer, but a way to stand out, like a way to make your company stand out so that within 10 seconds, when someone understands, like, here's your messaging, they're going to go, we want to hear more, right? That's what you got to cut through that clutter. And I talk about it like this. If on LinkedIn, you get probably 10 to 20 in-mail messages a day, and most people don't respond to a single one, right? If we do that, we probably get at least 70% responding. So we have even cracked that. We have figured out formulas and ways to get response where others have not. And, that's where we help our customers grow and succeed is using all these disruptive strategies. So we're not only just a remote staffing company. We want to help companies grow and scale. And that's something I actually do personally with strategic clients. I've done that with very large clients because when they are growing significantly, we're going to grow too. That's a part of the value add that I can bring personally to strategics.
This is incredible. So you are taking your existing clients and actually helping them to grow exponentially using your developed strategies, proven strategies.
Yes,
wow.
Correct. Yes.
Wow, that's cool. Are you teaching that anywhere else?
Well,
I'm
yeah.
interested.
Yeah, no, we do. On our website, we have a section called VIP events right on the top navigation, and we have something called Lunch and Learns. And because I'm in Los Angeles, my office is actually based out of SoFi Stadium, and we actually host our Lunch and Learns there. We host 30 to 50 business owners a week there, maybe sometimes multiple times a week, and I'm speaking usually for 2 or 3 hours about these topics. And it's very, very enlightening. I'm also a national sponsor for a group called Vistage. That's a business member group of about 40,000 business owners. I'm a national speaker for that group too. That's the exact topic I talk about.
Wonderful. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I didn't realize that. Oh, wow. I'm learning so much about you now.
Thank you.
So, Pranav, we are recording that conversation at the end of 2025. That has been a very dynamic year for insurance industry, to say the least. And I'm sure you know everything about the softening markets, about the hiring shortage of talent, and all of those things. Given the nature of your role at OfficeBeacon, I would be very interested in hearing your perspective on 2026.
Sure. Let me start by saying, just in business in general, I see the spectrum of over 17 different industries. I understand the trends and what's happening, and we really can understand what's happening with the economy. So this has really been a very, very interesting economy right now, because primarily a lot of business owners are really saying, I'm waiting. Like, that's predominantly their mindset right now. I'm just waiting to make a decision. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just holding. But I do think that tide is turning now, and I see that now it's turning where we're seeing business uptick. So I see 2026 as a very positive year. It's not going to be exponential, but I do see it going a lot more positive. As a business owner, my mindset is, even in a downturn, I am pressing the gas on sales and marketing no matter what. And so for my recommendation to any company, it doesn't have to be using my company, but if you can have a competitive advantage to cut costs by using remote staff with a highly credible company, you should be doing that, because you can then use those savings towards sales and marketing, right? So anything you can do to streamline, and be more efficient, you should be doing that. And then finding those strategies to grow your company. Because if you're not doing that, believe me, others are. And especially in this day and age, it's just getting hyper competitive. And so you've got to do whatever you can. I mean, we're doing it every single day. So that's my recommendation.
That's a very valuable recommendation. That's great. Pranav, when we are thinking about 2026, I can't not to ask you about the technological disruption. How do you see AI? Is that a disruption force, or is it going to help your business?
So interestingly, Nina, OpenAI was released to the world, I'd say about a year and a half, 2 years ago. The immediate questions to me by my peers were, are you scared of this? Because you're in the services business. AI is going to wipe you out and, replace like your workers with bots and AI agents. And what I started doing, I started enrolling in AI courses at MIT and all of that. I'm trying to understand what all of AI is, because it's a very complex, diverse field with many, many different parts to it. And what I learned was that if you really understand it as a business owner, you can figure out how to deploy it effectively, not only for yourself, but for your clients. And that's what I'm going to do. Because if you don't know that, you're really going to be left behind. So my investment has been in myself to learn it. And now I'm in a great position, because we are going to grow exponentially as a company, and we're going to help our customers grow. And they're going to be attracted to us because we have that expertise. And we're going to help them become highly competitive. Remember, I keep going to that word, highly competitive. Yep. It's not about cost cutting. It's about being competitive. And what I'm finding is that even with AI, you need more people, not less. You're going to be more competitive, but then what's going to happen? You're going to have more business. You're going to need more people to do other things, and you're going to grow. So that's what I see. So AI, I am 1,000% embracing it. I think if you're a progressive business owner in insurance or any industry, you should really be learning it. They don't depend on experts and consultants and all this. Like, you need to be learning it yourself.
And there is so many courses and
Yeah.
opportunities to learn it. So you're an AI optimist. That's great. Awesome. Great.
Yeah.
On a personal level, what are your business challenges in 2026? How do you see that for yourself?
Personal level. So, well, personally, look, I'll be very transparent. This has been a life journey for me. I've been very fortunate to have my 3 children, be with me on this journey. I've been a single parent for quite some time. So I have grown these children by myself, and 2 daughters. I'm a girl dad. Like, I have 2 daughters at home, and so the challenge has been both like to grow this company, but also be a father and I guess a mother too. I mean, they have a great mother and, they spend time with them, but, they're with me full time. Those challenges were not ones that I ever thought I would ever be in, right? Like, that's just not how I saw things playing out. But it's been a great reward for me because we're so tight knit as the 4 of us. That actually changed as a personal story and I tell this story. When my son was 16, he was riding his bike here in Redondo Beach, and he was hit by a car. And the car ran over his pelvis. And, I got the call and I went to Harbor City UCLA Medical Trauma Center. And every kid in there was in a coma. They were all hit by cars. And for an entire year, he was in traction and my whole world changed. I had to change my life. I stopped traveling. I started working in a different way because I was the primary caregiver. I was sleeping outside his bedroom door so I could hear. The minute he was in pain, I would be inside his room helping him. For an entire year, I was there for him. And, that changed my whole perspective on my family, the way I was working. That's why, I'm so grateful for my kids and my family. But it's a very tight-knit unit. So personally, I have very, very strong relationships with a tight group of friends, even employees who I've worked with for. Some of them have been with me for 25 years. I highly value those relationships. It's been not only a professional journey, but a highly personal journey with those who really see the inside of what's happened.
Pranav, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That is such an amazing story that you bring it also into, like, family is your life. It sounds like. And it's interesting because I often talk to my guests about the work-life balance, and through all those conversations, we came to a conclusion that it's more about integration. There's, sometimes you spend more time at work, sometimes your other kind of life, family life, requests more of your attention. It's all one life. It's important.
Yeah, it's one life.
It's one life for all of us. And it is so important that we recognize that and focus our attention where it's needed at the moment.
Yeah.
And I am so glad to hear that everything went well with your boy. And
thank you.
That they are all now together with you in your company. That's really amazing. Amazing. It. Awesome. Pranav, as we are approaching the end of our conversation, what word of wisdom or guidance would you like to offer our listeners as they are thinking about how to ramp up their leadership?
So I think one of the main things that I do is really try to digest information. I'm part of different peer groups, and I really look at what can I do to improve my company? So, for example, I have integrated EOS, which is an operating system for the company. 250,000 companies use it, and it's been a very powerful system to really help us grow. Read constantly. I'm on the Harvard Business Review Board, and there's lots of case studies that I read about how companies fail or succeed. So I think as a business leader, really just opening up your mind about like readings and what I call is working on your business versus in your business.
Yeah.
One practice, it's a very small thing that I'd like to share. My assistant, so I have a virtual assistant. She's in South Africa. I mean, I love her to death. I don't see a single email until she sees it. So I don't clutter my brain with an email until she's seen it, processed it, and then tells me you need to address this. Most people are looking at their cell phone constantly and then refreshing it, looking at it, and it's a distraction from focusing your brain. It's a huge one. So, you need time to focus on big ideas. You need to buy time and change habits to be able to focus on working on your business. And I talk about that too. Like, what are the habits you could put in place? Get an assistant, get it from OfficeBeacon, and buy time because it's going to pay back tenfold.
Okay. That's very valuable advice. So let's talk just a little bit about OfficeBeacon, again, from insurance perspective. So you said office assistant. What other popular roles you can offer to the insurance industry?
Right. So we offer obviously the back office services like the quoting, endorsements, renewals, certificates, and all that. So all the stuff, the back office help you need. But we also can do accounting. We can help them with websites, social media, marketing, etc., call center, reception services, even, if it's a larger office, a certain level of business development. Obviously, we're not licensed, so we can't sell, but we can definitely help them with the prospecting aspects of it. There's a lot that we can do there outside, of just doing the back office. And we do help clients with that. We even partner, quite frankly, with large insurance agencies on events as well. So we bring prospects, they bring prospects to live events. And that's actually been a huge opportunity for both companies. And we will partner with lots of companies to do things like that even. So it's not just has to be offshore or remote. We do a lot domestically in the US as well.
Okay, great. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our listeners before we finish?
Well, without getting into anything salesy, what I think your listeners, if they're interested in remote staffing, again, I think the key points are looking at your vendor from the perspective of data security, where they're located in the world. Okay. Do they have a good training program? And generally speaking, what is your price point that they're offering? You don't want to necessarily go to a work from home environment. It's just not the safe environment to be sharing data from. And, what kind of data security do you have? Generally speaking, you're definitely going to save money, but at what cost, right? So please look at all the factors before you make a final decision.
Okay. Awesome. If our listeners would like to learn more about you or OfficeBeacon, where should they go?
Okay. So two things, actually three things. One, I'd love to hear from anyone. So connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll always connect with you. Secondly, go to our website. Right on the homepage, you'll see a connect button at the top, schedule a call. If you're interested to learn more about our pricing and our services, we'll get right with you and one of our team members will reach out, or email us at sales@officebeacon.com. Any of those three will get you to the right people.
Okay. And the website is officebeacon.com?
Yes, correct. Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, Pranav, thank you very much for a great conversation. I really appreciate your time. And I personally learned a few interesting things that I'm going to think about a little bit more today.
Loved it, Nina. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a wonderful day.
You too.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Insurance Leaders Lab podcast. If you like what you've heard, please like it and leave a review on your preferred podcast platform. If there is anyone else in your circle who can benefit from listening, please share this link with them. Remember, this is a podcast for you, and your opinion matters to me, so if there is any topic you'd like to bring up, please send me a note to nina@ninashepherd.com. I'll see you back in 2 weeks on Thursday morning. Bye for now.